Imagine that you are a new business, right? And you're looking for a business line of credit and you want low doc, so low documentation and no income required. So in other words, you don't want a line of credit that asks you to provide revenue criteria. So this is kind of important. In today's conversation, I will explain to you how to get that, how to get a low doc business line of credit for a startup. So here's the overview I want you to really think about. So when you think about a business line of credit for no business, low documentation, no income required, the very first thing I want you to pay attention to is to make sure that you do have a business indeed. I don't care, boss. I don't care how smart you think your niche is, or I don't care how sort of competitive you think your industry is. If you don't have a real business, you're not going to be able to win the admiration of the lender. In other words, you're not going to be approved. And you'll be really surprised that a lot of folks believe that they say, well, you know, I have a business, everything is fine, I'm legit, whatever. But when the lender wants to go and check the state database that shows whether the business is in good standing, the lender realizes that that business is not in good standing. So there is a difference. There's a distinction between you saying you have a business and you being compliant, you being in obedience with the laws and regulations in the state where you are applying from. You need to understand, in this country, when we talk about businesses, everything happens at the state level. So for instance, if you are an LLC, make sure that you have your articles of organization ready, and then you have a certificate of good standing from the state authorities where you are at, okay, in the geography where you are currently at. So it's really important to have a legit business, like a business entity, an LLC, an LP, an S corporation, a C corporation. When we say those things, people say, well, that's like a very cheap ass advice. It is not cheap ass. It is important because you might think, well, it's cheap ass, but if you do not take care of it, your ass will be denied in the first place. Okay. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. We're having a quick convo today about how to get a business line of credit for a new business with low documentation and no income required. So very first thing, you need to have a business entity. Number two, try to have good credit at the personal level. If you are new in the industry and you want low doc, no income required business line of credit for your startup, you better have good credit on the personal side. Like you want to have 650 and up. That way you can actually sort of you can actually offset the negative that you have in terms of your new business and the fact that you're looking for a low doc and no income required business line of credit. So good credit is really important, okay? The third thing I want you to really, I want to suggest here is that if it is possible, this is not mandatory, but we have seen in our research for the last 30 years that sometimes when providing a personal guarantee, you actually can boost your chances of approval like crazy. Because a lot of lenders are just they're just like sitting on the fences and say, you know what, I ain't doing this because the risk is too high. Okay, but if you say, listen, I'm providing a PG, I'm okay with whatever happens, then lenders will feel more comfortable actually giving you the business line of credit that you need for your new business. Okay, especially if you're saying, listen, I don't want no doc, I don't want, like, I have no income, I have nothing, then you have to actually provide something in return. It's all about having skin in the game. We've said this before. I mean, especially in this economy, can you imagine, like, with everything falling through the cracks, people are kind of scared, banks are scared, everybody's scared. By the way, the federal government stepping in to sort of help banks, sort of salvage banks, like failing banks, whatever. I mean, you never know what's really happening. So the lenders are not going to just lend you, like, they're not just going to approve you for a business line of credit for your startup without checking anything. They have to check stuff anyway, okay? So if you are saying, listen, I'm going to give a personal guarantee, that's really good. Especially if you are you are a small business or a sole proprietor, then you say, listen, I'm willing to sign a personal guarantee. If something happens, my ass is on the line, then you are increasing your chances of being approved. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about how to get a business line of credit for your new business with low income, not low income, no income required, low documentation, okay? And so now let's talk about revenue. And so revenue here means that you are giving estimated revenue. You're giving projected revenue. You're giving pro forma revenue, not actual revenue, because as a new business, you haven't got the chance to actually generate revenue yet. You haven't gotten the chance to actually, lay a strong foundation for your revenue generation strategy yet. So anything you can do right now is just pure. It's purely based on, not, I would say speculation, but speculation in a positive way. Though when we talk about speculation, we're speaking about a speculation process that is realistic, and what that means, you are anticipating, you are forecasting, you are projecting. So you have to show your revenue level for let's say for the next year, for the next 2 years or 3 years to the lender, so that the lender can grant you the cash that you need for your business line of credit. Okay, so this is really important because you want to show that you are going to be here for the long haul. That's what we call in business the going concern. Your going concern is for the long haul. And the lenders, some lenders want you to really pay attention to years in business. So to approve you for a business line of credit, they will say, well, we want you to be in business for 2 years, whatever. But if you are a new business and you are looking for a low doc, no income required business line of credit, you don't qualify for that, right? So what do? How do you actually offset this sort of detriment? The best way to do this is to actually have a strong list of references, either personal or business wise, and to also have, in addition to the financial statements that you just prepared, the forecasted ones, you just need to have also a business plan. If you're able to have a business plan, then you are actually, lowering the risk level here, and the lender will start looking at your application more favorably. It's all about risk mitigation. It's all about risk anticipation. It's all about risk preservation. From a lender's perspective, it's all about making sure that your short number of years in business is offset by something else. And so if you're able to provide those three things that I just mentioned to you stand a chance to actually succeed or be approved. And you also need to pay attention to your business's industry and size. So when we talk about your niche, I think I just told you that some sectors of the economy right now are going through some yo-yos. You have ups and downs. You have ebbs and flows. You have valleys and troughs. You have hills and valleys. You have a lot of things. So if your industry happens to be in a trough right now, then you got to ask yourself, what do I do to get back to the peak? Or how do I actually justify this to the lender? Because the lender is going to ask questions. So when we talk about your business's industry and size, lenders have more resources on staff to do research about your industry than you do have resources. Especially if you're asking for a large amount of money, then the research will be will be more thorough. So make sure this is a good risk. And one thing I want to say here is that when we talk about, you need to have a business plan. This I said before, but you need to have financial statements. But most importantly, you need to have a loan proposal. So if you are let's say you are trying to get a line of credit, business line of credit for a new business, low doc, no income required, then you want to have not a loan proposal, but you need to have a line of credit proposal. Those two are the same anyway, because what you're trying to really explain to the lender here is that, hey, listen, here is why I need the cash. Here is why I'm able to repay you. And if I don't have the cash, here is how my business might suffer. So if you're able to actually explain these three things and the lender sees the potential, they will get you the cash. Not a problem at all. They will get you the cash. Okay. It's all about making sure that you have enough revenue to sort of reach certain things. The bottom line here is what? The bottom line here is that if you do proper analysis, proper forecasting, and you know exactly what kind of strategies can get you the market share that you need, what kind of strategies can get you the revenue that you need, the kind of strategies you need to actually acquire more clients, then you are able to convince the lender to give you the cash that you need in the first place. Okay. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about how to get a business line of credit for a new business with low documentation and no income required. Okay, so this is an important element to pay attention to. So now I want to talk about collateral. And this is an important element also because we've seen that if you are trying, let's say you are trying to get a low doc, no income required line of credit for your startup, collateral plays the same role as the personal guarantee that I spoke about earlier. So if you are able to tell a lender that you want to pledge collateral to secure the line of credit you are asking for, you stand a better chance to qualify. So you got to ask yourself what kind of collateral you have at the personal level or business level. Collateral, boss, just in case you don't know what collateral is just an asset. It can be a fixed asset, such as it can be a piece of equipment, it can be a machine, it can be a computer, whatever it is, whatever is tangible, long-term fixed assets could qualify as collateral. As a matter of fact, collateral could also be your accounts receivable. It could be anything can be used to secure a business line of credit or a business loan. It could be also a CD, certificate of deposit. It could be a retirement account under certain conditions. Yeah, of course. Now, let me talk to you about how to actually open a business line of credit for a new business if you want low documentation, no income required. And one thing you want to do here is that, first of all, I know when we say this, people always say, well, this is not true. It doesn't happen that way. Listen, this is how things happen. You just have to trust the process. You want to start where you are already known. Like, basically, do not try to reinvent the wheel. I'll keep repeating this for the next 100 years. If I'm alive, I will keep saying this. People don't want to hear stuff, but I want to say until they really understand and apply it. Because it's not just about saying one thing and people just listen to it if they don't do anything. No, you want to start where you are already known. You want to start where your ass is known, where your inflows and cash outflows are known at the personal level. Because if you have a new business, chances are you have not established with the credit union or with the bank a strong enough banking history when it comes to your cash inflows and cash outflows, right? So maybe you have a history at the personal level, which you should use to sort of convince the lender to give you the business line of credit. Okay, if you have a strong relationship at the bank level, you can parlay that relationship, you can parlay that rapport with the lender to get a business line of credit for your new business, even on a low doc and no income required basis. People always say, well, when you think about low doc, automatically you're not going to talk to banks or credit unions. That's not true, because some of those banks and credit unions, they are, for example, in the same lender network that you find on Lendio. For example, and Lendio actually has some business loans that require no documentation, low or no documentation, or no income required. So it really depends on the relationship you have. So you want to actually make sure that you start where you are already known. Okay, I want to insist on that. And it's really also important to compare lenders. So you compare lenders to say, okay, you know what, I can't qualify, or I think I stand a chance to qualify, so I'm gonna use that chance. Okay, or I think I should apply with an alternative lender as opposed to an online lender, or as opposed to a regular lender. Okay, maybe I should get my business line of credit from Cabbage by American Express, from Blue Vine, from other players, not just the regular banks. Okay. Here is a bonus for you. It's really important to understand that if you are trying to get a business line of credit for a new business, low documentation, no income required, you need to understand that a business line of credit is not money you get right away in your bank account, though. I mean, this is basically different because, if you wanted to have money right away into your bank account, into your new business bank account, then you want to apply for a business loan, not a business line of credit, because a business line of credit can be helpful if you might need money for working capital and emergency expenses. You may also want to use a line of credit to finance projects that require progress payments, such as marketing campaign or new construction. Okay, and a line of credit may have a lower interest rate and higher credit limits than business credit cards, which can make this option a better option for some short to medium term loans. Okay, however, for day-to-day expenses, a business credit card might be a better option because you can earn rewards. You don't have to pay interest if you pay your bill in full, every month. So this is kind of cool. I mean, this is the kind of a thinking I want you to have so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. One thing I want to say here is that before opening a business line of credit for your new business, low documentation and no income required, Please review the account's fees and terms closely. Although you only pay interest on the money you borrow, some lenders impose monthly or annual fees to keep your account open. And additionally, you could have to pay a draw fee on each loan you take, or an inactivity fee if you don't use the credit line at all. So paying off or closing your accounts early might even result in prepayment penalties or early termination fees. So those are really important. I really want you to get yourself in the mindset of a business, like a borrower of like an applicant for a business line of credit for a new business, low documentation, no income required. So I also want you to remind you that your creditor can change your credit limits at any time. You might want to use your business line of credit for during an emergency, but if there is a widespread emergency, lenders might pull back on credit to help protect their businesses as well. It's all about everybody, covering their ass. So it's one of those things you need to pay attention to, and yeah. Before I close to this conversation, I really want to talk to you about the fact that if you are speaking about a business line of credit for your startup and you are trying to get a low doc, no income required business line of credit, it's always important to go back to the origins, so to speak, to know that you have a secured business line of credit and then you have an unsecured business line of credit. And this also harks back to what I said about collateral, or even let's say prepayment, like of loan, like collateralized loan, or like so it's really important to say, okay, what's the question here? Do I want to go for a secure business line of credit? I want something low doc. I want no income required. This is actually the easiest though. If you are able to secure the line of credit, then you get approved right off the bat. Okay, and even though like nowadays the banks are really adamant about making sure that you meet all the requirements, as long as you meet certain requirements and the bank is comfortable that, hey, listen, you do not represent a large risk, they'll actually finance you. I mean, I'm speaking about banks, but this could be all types of lenders, all types of business lenders. It could be credit unions, it could be banks, it could be regional banks, it could be state banks, and what have you. So this is kind of cool. So the thing I want you to really think here is that secured business line of credit for your new business could be an opportunity. If you don't like the secured options, you can try the unsecured options, the unsecured business line of credit for your new business, and you're looking for a low doc and no documentation. And so this becomes a little difficult because basically you're asking the lender to shoulder all the responsibility, all the risk, which lenders don't want to do anyway. So this is where sometimes you have to go back and say, okay, I wanted to have a 100,000 business line of credit, but the requirements for this are too high. Now I just want to have $10,000 in limits. That way you represent a lower risk to the bank, and they are more willing to lend that to you and to see how you manage it. Okay, so this is important to really think about. And based on the business line of credit they give you, if you manage it well, then they can actually give you more and more and more. So this is the kind of I would say virtuous circle that you want to establish before going back to before actually going back to the lender and say, I want to really, now I've changed my mind. Now I want to have a secure business line of credit, or I want to have a non-secure business line of credit. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Today's conversation, I was quickly talking to you about how to get a low documentation, no income required business line of credit for a new business. Thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.